Hi, my name is Brian Burgians. Welcome to another episode of Homeownership Heroes. Today we have a very special guest, Lindsay Litton. Lindsay, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Lindsay, we have a big audience here. We have realtors and mortgage professionals that we are speaking to today. So if you don't mind, tell the audience what it is you do for a living.
Sure. So I own MilHousing Network, and what we do is we connect military families with pre-screened, pre-vetted real estate experts all over the world.
And how big is your network?
So we have 500 agents in our network and growing.
Oh, wow. And where did you start? Like, where did you build your business?
Where did it begin?
Yeah, where did it begin?
So I actually was in real estate, so I'm an active duty military spouse, and the reason I got into real estate was because a realtor I was working with had me in a hotel when we moved to the area. And I thought to myself, wow, if they really understood some of the pressures that I was under, I wouldn't be living in a hotel with 2 dogs and a baby while my husband's in processing.
Right.
And so that really was a spark behind getting into real estate. I became one of the top realtors with my Keller Williams agency there in San Antonio. And then I, again, inevitably PCS'd and moved to Colorado Springs. And that was the spark that ignited the network.
So in your network, would you say that, one of the things you look for is passionate people?
Absolutely. So we're looking for specific requirements. So we're looking for production numbers. We're also looking for a certain percentage of your business that deals with working with VA buyers and sellers.
Sure.
But more importantly, we're looking that you meet our core values. And one of our big core values is always doing the right thing for the client.
Right. Because, at the end of the day, and we try to tell us our loan officers too, that not every client, should buy a house.
No, and it's that education piece. And we have a lot of those conversations actually. So we're talking to them about making the biggest purchase that they will ever make. It's a big decision. So that education piece and discussing with them what their options are, and sometimes it's not buying right now,
right,
but putting on a path to success is what we do.
Yeah, because I do think that we kind of lose sight a little bit about what's actually important for the customer, because we are transactional, and sometimes we lose sight that these people are going to be moving in 2 to 3 years.
It's having those hard conversations like, are you okay being an absentee landlord?
Sure.
And so you as a real estate professional, it is your fiduciary duty to have those conversations, because that is a very real reality for a lot of military families.
Yeah, without a doubt. And then if you don't take that into consideration, then we're looking at it transactional, and you might put somebody in a bad situation, and then what ends up happening is everybody loses.
Everybody loses. Nobody wants to walk into a home and say to them that you are under $20,000 and you have now become a landlord.
Would you say that in your network, education is big?
Education is huge to us. We believe that if you have a growth mindset, then you're always looking at learning. And if you're always looking at learning, you're always looking at improving. So upping your skills, understanding your market, understanding how the rules and regulations change is key to growing and being successful in this industry.
Yeah, because I would say that, I always tell everybody that realtors and loan officers are actually in the same boat. Like, we just assume that people know about VA home loan benefits and all the things that go with it, but actually there's a gap in education.
Oh, huge gap in education. I think the stat is 13% of all of our veterans and active duty actually use their VA loan benefit.
Yeah, I didn't even use a VA home loan benefit my very first time I built a house. I actually showed up to the builder's office in uniform, and they didn't even offer me a VA home loan.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So that's kind of when I carried the torch and realized, here I am walking in a uniform, and no one, even the realtor, who by the way was my wife's best friend, never ever said, hey, clearly I'm serving.
Right.
Do you want a VA home loan? I walked out with an 80-10.
Well, and I think there is some truth to that. So if I may, working with a close personal friend that might be a close personal friend might not be a great option on the real estate side either. Not saying it wasn't. But I'm just saying, make sure you do your homework, interview at least 3 realtors before you decide to work with one of them, and make sure the realtor that you do work with really understands the VA loan benefits, because if they don't, they could end up in a similar situation. Yeah,
and you know what? Here it is. We go in 80-10, we had to put 10% down, and I qualified for 100% financing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nobody wants an 80-10. So you have your network, you got passionate realtors. How hard is it for you guys to find passionate loan officers?
Well, that actually is a really hard question for us. So one of the things that we are really good about doing is educating our realtors to use their preferred lender partners, because a lot of them are going to have partners. But I think there's a couple things you also need to take into consideration as a successful realtor when you're looking for that partner. Make sure you're working with someone that has an understanding, has a growth mindset of the VA regulations, because they're always changing.
Yep.
If they don't, then really push them at their craft. And I think that is something that our realtors are really good at doing, and something that we're passionate as a network is educating our realtor partners on what to look for in a lender and loan officer.
So if you're talking to realtors right now and loan officers and they're like, hey, I'm really passionate about helping the military, I'm dedicated to the education piece, but how do I build my business? Like, how do I build that sphere of influence in the military community to start working with those customers? What would you suggest to them?
So I would suggest to them, seek out education and resources to really understand the market. So like we just talked about, I know y'all have a great training program that you offer to your loan officers. On the real estate side, we have some training that we can offer as well. Understand your market, speak their language, and then next, go to where they hang out, right? You need to meet them at their level, understand the pressures and the things that they're facing so that you can communicate with them and give them value. And I think that's the one piece that a lot of realtors miss, is that you could work with any realtor.
Sure.
Be the one that provides the biggest value.
Would you say community outreach is a big thing?
Community outreach is a big thing. So volunteer at local charities. Go seek out, if you live next to a military installation, and find out how you can work with those families. Most military families, they unfortunately are in need of assistance. So seek out the charities that can support them and get involved, understand them.
Yeah, and another thing too, so when I travel and I educate, agents always go, well, how do I attract, military and veteran clients? And then we always go to their social media platform like LinkedIn or Facebook, and nothing ever suggests that they even support the military. What would you suggest to somebody like that?
So obviously certifications and designations are a big thing that says you support, but go back in your family and really understand, why do I want to serve military? Is it just because I want to do another transaction? Well, that's not going to serve you.
Right.
That's not going to serve for your clients. But if it's, your grandfather that served or your dad that served, talk about those stories so that you can make an emotional connection with potential clients that let them know, like, this is what it means to me about serving you.
Yeah, and the online presence, I think, is huge right now, because most people are doing all their home searching and fact finding online.
It's huge. And if you, as a real estate professional or a loan officer, are not updating your profiles online, you're missing opportunities.
Without a doubt. Well, hey, thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed all the valued content we brought to you today. Lindsay, thank you for joining us. And tune in next time on Homeownership Heroes. I'm Brian Burjans.
This is Mortgage News Network.